Now that we have our data frame ready, we are going to go into analysis. So I'm going to create a new section here, and I'm going to call this section analysis. And let's just look at this data. Let's look at this. Oh, let's save this as a data frame really quickly. We'll just call that df. And then I'm just going to look at this data frame. So the first thing I want to do is I want to split all these up into dummy variables. However, this is going to be a little bit more tricky than just simply running. We could, our first step would be, to try doing just pd.get dummies. But you see, we can't do that because there's a list in there. So let's come back and think about something else that we could do. So what I want to do is with this, I want to basically split up all of this list. So I'm going to use an apply function, and then I'm going to use this pandas series stack function to see if I can split these up. Okay, there we go. That gives me something. And then what if I sum them back together? Okay, so that gets me, so that should get me, each one of these should be a separate thing now. Change deep think, sum level 0. Let's see how well this works. If I plug this into get dummies. Okay, let me look. Okay, that is putting those together. Let me see. Oh, I don't want to sum the stack. I want that. Let's just try that first. Okay, and now it wants that sum. Okay, there we go. And now we have our dummy variables that we want to have. Okay, there we go. So now we have all of these as dummy variables, and we can reattach that to our data frame. Let me walk through a little bit of just what this was doing. So first, we changed all of these into just a series, so we split up the list and we turned it into a greater list like that. Then this made it into just a list of all the different words that we had. And then this final part with the summing, you can see that we have 232 rows. That's because we have duplicates. We have duplicates, so that removes all the duplicates so that they are all unique again. So now that we have our dummies, we can go ahead and we want to merge this back onto our original data frame. So let's use a pandas dot merge df drop columns, and we want to drop tags from our original column, our original data frame, because we'll be joining up on that. And then we want to merge it to df dummies, and then we want to merge it via, let me set this to df dummies first. So we have that. Dummies left index equals true, right index equals true. And that merges everything back together. And we can see that J.K. Rowling's in her quote has abilities. If we go back to quotes scrape, we go to the first page. J.K. Rowling's also has abilities. So let's do some spot checking. I'm going to call this df quotes. So now we have our quote data frame. We can inspect it a little bit. So if I do, for instance, let's just pull a couple of these. We'll do quote author. Change. Let's do deep thought thinking world. And then for J.K. Rowling's, we want abilities and choices. Oops, and I need to make this a list that we're passing in here. So if we look at this, we can see that it marks this quote as having those tags as expected, and then it marks this quote as having these tags as expected. So we can know that that is working. So one of the first things that we can do, some real basic analysis that we can perform really quickly is we can just look at a sum of, we can just look at the sum of quotes by authors, or, let's start off with, so we'll do if we want to get the sum of, or the count of quotes by authors, we would first start off with doing a group by, group by authors, and then we want to know how many quotes they have, and then I want to use the count function, and then let's sort the values in descending order. I misspelled ascending. Data frame has no group by. There we go. And so we can quickly see that Albert Einstein has the most quotes, followed by J.K. Rowling's. Mark Twain's up there. So this is an example of, you can create a bar chart out of this for your slide if you'd like. That's a real simple example. Something else we can do is we can also look at which, we could actually look at which traits are most common. So to do that, we can do df quotes, and then we just drop our columns. We drop off quotes and we drop off authors. And then what we'd want to do is we'd want to sum all of this together, and that'll give us the sum of our different, that gives us a sum of the different traits. Now we can do, or tags, and then we can do sort these tags out, and we can see which ones appear the most. And let's just use the head function to look at the top 10. So we see love is the most common tag, appearing 14 times. After that, life, and then inspiration, humor, books, reading, friendship, and so forth. So that's something else you could do. You could make a chart out of this, using these as the categories, as the bars, and then these as the values. But I want to do something a little bit more exciting than that. Let's get into some natural language processing now. What I want to do is a basic sentiment analysis. And what a sentiment analysis is it looks at text and it determines if the text is positive or negative. I'll show you an example really quick, but first I'm going to import Natural Language Toolkit, also known as NLTK. And then what I want to do is I also want to download, the Vader lexicon, or the Vader lexicon. And this will give me the necessary information that I need to do sentiment analysis. And finally, now that I have the Vader lexicon downloaded, I can then import sentiment. From sentiment, I'm going to import intensity analyzer. Hopefully that all runs. Let me see, I probably spelled something wrong. Lexicon. Okay, we got that package downloaded. So then I can make my sentiment analyzer, equal to this. And so now what I can do, now that I have this nice function, that I created, I can use the plurality score, and then I can type in some text, and it will tell me if it's positive or negative. Like, for instance, if I type in happy, you'll see that I get a positive score, or any score above 0 means neutral. Um, 0 means neutral, and 1 means 0 means neutral. Positive means good. Negative means bad. So if I enter something like bad, you can see I get a negative. If I enter a sentence like I had a really awesome day, you can see that gives positive sentiment. If I say I had a really bad day, that's negative. If I say my dog died, that's negative. But it is okay because now he is in heaven. That turns into a positive. So this is a really cool tool because it allows you to take just any text and then determine if it's positive or negative. One of the greatest places I think to use this is when you are doing surveys and you don't have NPS scores. This is a really good replacement for just getting raw survey data in, because you can take different survey responses, feed it into this, and then you can get a positive or negative score based off of what they said. But that's enough playing around with our sentiment analysis tool. Let's get back to our quotes. So I am going to create a new function because I'm going to want to apply a function into across our data frame. So I'm just going to call this sentiment analysis, and then I'm going to make it equal have text as our input, and then the sentiment is going to be equal to our sentiment analyzer that we have over here. And then I want to get plurality score of the text. And then ultimately I want to return the sentiment compound. Okay, why don't I just put this up here just to clear up some room. So then if we try this out, I love this coding in class. If I put in text here, then I get a sentiment for it. So now that we have this function, let's go ahead and take our quotes. Let's apply this to our quotes data now, and I'm going to add a new column called sentiment. And I'm going to make that equal to our quotes column. But I'm going to apply our sentiment function that we have. So what the apply function does is it's for every value in this column, it is going to run that function on that column and return the value from that function. So this is really handy for us to be able to look at multiple to be able to iterate this function without using something like a for loop. So we ran that and we got our sentiment column. Let's see what this looks like now. I just want to look at a couple other columns. While we're at it, we'll look at author, we'll look at the actual quote, and then the sentiment. And if I look at these three columns, let me space this out. And we see that the world as we have created is a process of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. So that's a fairly neutral. It's our choice, Harry, that shows us who we are to our abilities. Let's see, there are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle, the other is as everything is a miracle. It scored that as negative. Try not to become a man of success, rather become a man of value. So it thought that was positive. So you can see a day without sunlight, you know, is light. A woman is like a tea bag. You never know how strong it is until it's in hot water. That got a negative rating. I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work. That got a positive rating. Um, oh, this one got a really positive rating. You may not be her first, her last. She loved again. She's not perfect. Smile when she makes you happy. Let her know when she makes you mad and miss her when she's not there. That got a very high positive. This one, good friends, good books, and sleepy, concise. This is the ideal life. That also got a really high sentiment. Oh, this got a perfectly neutral one. I may not have gone where I intended to go, but I think I ended up where I needed to be. Oh, that's fun. So yeah, that gives you an idea of what this sentiment analysis is doing. So that's always fun to read through and explore a little. But what's really cool now is we have a new column that we can actually do a lot of really awesome work with. So I want to know which author has the highest sentiment. And this is probably going to be what I'm going to make my slide on. But let's do DF quotes. And I just want to take two columns, author and sentiment. Now that I have those two quotes, I'm going to group by author. And then I want to take the mean. So now I get the mean sentiment of all the different authors. And let's sort these values. I want to sort them by sentiment. And I'll do that. Ascending equals false. Okay, so now we have a data frame showing which authors had the highest average sentiment. And let's look at this. Okay, this is really interesting. Let's look at this guy. Eli Wiesel. Okay, so he wrote Night. Wow, I remember reading that book back when I was in high school. I remember we had that book as extra credit, and it was one of the most depressing books I've ever read. So Eli was a Holocaust survivor. Um, wow, that's very interesting. It came out with him having the highest sentiment. So here's an example of a hypothesis, of making a hypothesis. And so my hypothesis here is that the reason why he has the highest mean sentiment for his quotes is that if you survived something as tragic as the Holocaust, it probably gives you a perspective of life that is it really gives you a much greater appreciation for normal life because of everything that you've been through. So I could only imagine that his quotes are um positive. You see up here, Mother Teresa is also up here, and she has something that's pretty high, so that is something that that's definitely expected. J.K. Rowling's. Let's see, who is at the bottom? Ralph Waldo Emerson. Okay. Martin Luther King. I wouldn't expect that. Maybe it's from the quotes here. He was also an activist, so maybe that's why he's getting a more negative score. Dr. Seuss, that's also interesting. But yeah, this is a really cool analysis to do just because of the all the different insights that you can take from it. And I think I'm going to end up using this for my slide. But let me do just one more quick analysis for all of you guys. And I don't want this to take too long. What I'm going to do is I want to see which tag as the greatest is most likely is the best predictor, not predictor, but what has the most influence on sentiment. So I'm just going to import a stats model so we can run a quick regression on all of this. I'm setting the Y to quotes to sentiment, and then our X. I am not doing good at typing right now. And then our X matrix is going to be equal to everything but drop. I want it to be equal to our dummy variables, so I'm going to drop the columns author, quote, and sentiment. Okay, I'm going to train the model. I'm going to use an ordinary least squared model with our Y and our X. And the results is going to equal our model dot fit. And then I want to print out the results. Okay, let's see how many typos it got. Okay, and there is our linear regression model of how accurate these different tags are producing sentiment. And wow, we got an adjusted R, you got an R squared of 85, an adjusted R squared of 17. Probability. I'm sure there's a lot of these. We could do more intense model cleaning to clean this up. I'm not going to worry about that right now. We're just doing a simple just doing a simple analysis. I'm doing this more just to show you what is possible rather than um actually doing a thorough analysis on this data. We already covered regressions in another module. But I'm just going to get a list of our features, get a list of our coefficients, and our p-values, p-values. And now I'm going to create a data frame. I'm going to make a topics data frame. Data frame That is going to take our, let's put all this into a topics dictionary. Feature. And that's just going to be same as feature coefficient. Or this actually might be faster. Do p-values. Okay, there's our topics dictionary, and then I'll take the topics dictionary and put it into our data frame, our topics data frame. And we have our topics data frame. Now, first thing I want to do, I want to get rid of any insignificant features. So I'm just going to say p-values, where p-values are greater or less than 0.05. Wow, that is not too many significant features. If I wanted to create a more accurate model, I would go through and I'd extract all of these features and then I would plug that into our, I could plug that into the columns, but I'm not going to worry about that for right now. Let's sort these by values. We want to sort by the coefficients. And let's do it in ascending order or descending order. So there you go. That is the results of our regression analysis. So from looking at this, I would interpret this as love has the greatest impact on quotes with the tag love in it have the greatest impact on sentiments. And that's very significant. That's a very high coefficient, and that's a very low p-value. So we were really certain about that. Also, books have a very high, are a high predictor of sentiment. Grown-ups. And that's about it. It's everything else. Grown-ups is low, writers. Difficult, okay, difficult, that makes sense. Adventure, that's interesting. Illiterate. That is someone, someone who can read, but is uninterested in doing so. Well, I guess that makes sense. Authors like books, and authors probably do not like illiterate people. So that's interesting. I hope this gives you guys plenty of different fun things you can do or fun takeaways you can do for your slide. For me personally, I am going to go with this data frame right here. So let me go ahead. This is, I'm just going to call this, I don't know, export. I'm going to make that equal to export. And then I'm going to say export dot to CSV. I want to do, I'll just say quotes dot CSV. Okay, I'll run that. And then from Google Colab, want to import files, and then files, and then files dot download, and then I'm going download quotes CSV. Let's see, Google does not have a feature for downloads. There we go. Okay, and this is my CSV file. So let me just take like the top 10. And let's go back to our example slide. So I'm going to insert a chart. Just keep it really basic for this one. Okay, actually, there might be a better chart to display this. Maybe if we did it this way. And I want to reverse the order so that he's on top. Use a sort. Okay. Let's do custom sort, and we want to sort by sentiment from smallest to largest. There we go. Let me label these axes so we get average quote sentiment, and then over here we'll have author. Maybe you can do let me decrease the gaps a little bit there. Actually, let's keep it at 150. That's not too bad. And let's add some data labels. That would be nice. Let's get rid of these grid lines to clean it up. Can make this numbers. Yeah, let's keep it at 2 decimal places. And specifically highlight Eli. Get rid of the title. Okay, let's start out with our lead line. Eli Wells. Rather than trying to come up with something on my own, why don't we try to incorporate ChatGPT into this? Let me bring that up and see what we can get ChatGPT to tell us. Okay, write a hypothesis as to why quotes might have the highest sentiment ratings. Okay, one hypothesis is that, let's see, write that in one sentence. Love this. Okay, let's use that as our lead line. Still, that's too much. Eli's quotes may have high sentiment ratings due to his powerful as a Holocaust survivor. And hope and compassion. It's not. High sentiment. Could be due to his personal testimony, inspiring. Let's see if I can get it up to her messages of compassion, empathy, compassion, and hope. Eli's quotes have the of high this possibly Eli Willen's quotes have the highest sentiment ratings, possibly due to his personal testimony as a Holocaust survivor, inspiring messages of compassion and hope. Now we can go back here. Let's see what we can get from this. His experience as a Holocaust survivor and his use of language to convey empathy, compassion, and never lead to high sentiment ratings. His personal testimony and powerful words have touched people around the world and inspired many to work towards creating a better future. Okay, additionally, his messages often convey hope and strength to contribute to the high sentiment rates. Okay, that is awesome. Also, I do want to point out actually, before I do that, let me re-add a title. Okay. Top 10 highest auth sentiment author ratings. I just say that Mother Teresa made the list, which should be expected. Let's pull this down to maybe 12. That's what should be expected. Let's add a shadow to this just to make it look professional. And finally, for our source, let's go back to our code. And we got this from quotes to scrape. Source. Okay, and there we go. That is the web scraping assignment. I hope that you all had learned at least learned something, or you were able to enjoy this assignment. Please feel free to be creative with your analysis that you come up with. This is just one possibility, but as you can see, there's a lot of different things that you can do with this. So I really encourage you to be creative and go and try out something new. See if you can find any cool insights from this. But that will be the conclusion of this exercise.